Okay. Okay. There we go. Alright. Okay, testing, testing, testing. Okay, testing, testing, testing. Hey, Alika, how's it going? Yeah, I almost didn't use this image because it's so terrifying. It won't be this image for the entire stream. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. But let me know how my volume is, if the music's too loud, too soft, whatever. But this is going to be specifically for a video, so I'm going to be partially reading from a script, and then hopefully, depending on whether I feel like sleeping, I should have the video done by Sunday. It should be a Sunday release. So I'm going to wait for a few people to jump in, and then I'm going to just start talking, because my video is going to be this right here. In fact, this is the thumbnail, spoiler, that I'm going to use for the video, which is 6 horror games that are actually scary. When I do non-horror list videos, they do not perform particularly well on my channel. More in Arthur. So I'm just going to have to, for the next few months, just do horror lists, maybe a video essay in there somewhere, but it's gotten to the point with my channel where like there's zero growth, and I'm just gonna have to do stuff like this at least for a few months and just trying to get more support and subscribers along the way. Streaming's fun, which helps, and I really like doing the polls in my community tab. I don't know if anyone here has been following, but I did a tournament on my community tab on my channel that is the best sequels, best movie sequels of all time. Had a whole bracket set up, and the finals were yesterday, and now we have a winner. If you haven't checked, I mean, I guess I could spoil you if you look at my community tab, but essentially, Star Wars episode 5, so The Empire Strikes Back, won the entire tournament. It just beat Aliens, starring Sigourney Weaver. Just barely, like by 1%, it won. It was neck and neck. So it was, of all the polls I've done, that was definitely the closest one. So it was pretty wild. Like, that was way more competitive than the horror tournaments that I did. What sequel do I want to have won? Honestly, I'm not too upset with Empire Strikes Back. I have a lot of mixed opinions, let's say, about Star Wars and some of their fan base, for sure. I think Disney are just greedy, but I think the prequels are terrible. I know their reputation went up when the Disney sequels came out in a very George Bush is more popular now because of Donald Trump kind of way, but I'm not going to get into politics. But that is a fact. Like, people's reputations go up when someone else shows up that's more controversial. So I don't like the prequels, even now. I don't think the Disney sequels were done very well either. So I don't think they've made a great Star Wars film since the 70s. So it's like, my opinion. But that doesn't stop me from loving those 2 Star Wars films from the 70s, and I think Empire Strikes Back is phenomenal. So I can't say I'm upset with it winning. I would have been happy with either that or Aliens. I can't say there was one specific one I was pulling for. I was expecting Godfather 2 to do a bit better. I thought it was going to make it in the top 4, but it didn't. I think Godfather 2 is great. I do not think it's better than the first one, though. It was interesting because people were judging the sequels differently. So I was more or less... I mean, I wasn't voting, but I was judging the sequels on their own merits, not so much how they function as a sequel. And I'm not saying one way is correct and the other way is wrong. I left it vague on purpose. but I was kind of judging them on their own. But a lot of people were judging them purely as sequels, like whether they did more with the lore or just comparing it to the first one. So it was really interesting because, like, some people thought Aliens wasn't a good sequel because it was almost like a whole new movie. Right, but other people thought it did so much more with the Alien idea that it's obviously the best sequel. So it was really interesting seeing all these different perspectives as far as what's the best sequel. But there were definitely some upsets, like Paddington 2 got knocked out immediately, and that was a huge surprise. Godfather 2 almost lost to Evil Dead 2. It was actually kind of close, and that blew my mind. I mean, I like Evil Dead 2, but I was not expecting that kind of result. And then, yeah, I didn't expect Blade Runner 2049 to be that high. I mean, it was in the top 4. So that was very unusual. Oh, I gotta close these windows because it's gonna get into the recording. Shit, 1 second. Anyway, yeah, so long-winded answer, I didn't have a movie I necessarily wanted to win. I thought all the sequels I put in the tournament, I thought they were all great. But I was surprised that Godfather 2 was in the top 4. I'll say that. You like Godfather 2 more than the first one. It's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, I love Godfather 2, but I've always thought the first one was superior. And I think the ending of Godfather 2 is really anticlimactic. That's probably my biggest problem with it. Like, I feel like the last third isn't as interesting. Still really good stuff, but it peters out a little bit. Godfather 1, the third act, has some amazing sequences, so... it's still a great movie, though. I mean, those flashbacks are incredible. So, yeah. I'm happy with how it turned out. I actually predicted a couple weeks ago. I almost gloated about it in the actual post. I decided not to. But I almost gloated that, like, weeks before, I had predicted that it was going to be Aliens and Empire. People went, no, it's going to be Terminator 2. It's going to be... I'm like, no, it's... do not ever doubt the power of Star Wars. And that's what ended up being the 2 finalists. So I was pretty happy to be vindicated in that way. But it was nice. There was no... I never rolled my eyes really at a film getting really far or anything like that. So this is a bit more pleasant of a tournament, for sure. I think X2 got knocked out pretty early, and I love X-Men 2. So there were some surprises for sure, but can't argue with Empire Strikes Back. Hey, Egg. They were weak. Yeah, that happens. See, the thing is, people asked me, like, how I was seeding the movies, like how I was ordering them, and the fact is, I just wasn't. So I was just putting the films into the bracket in no particular order, and then I was randomizing the matchups. I felt like if I put my own input on who should be versus who, there was going to be some level of bias. So I knew that instinctively I was going to kind of root for certain movies or not have 2 great movies battle at first. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that bias. I wanted it to be as random as possible. So that's why I completely randomized it. And it ticked a few people off because a great film would get taken out kind of early. But it's like, if it doesn't win the whole tournament, then, like, who cares? At least that's my opinion. I get it. But, yeah, I wanted it random, so some movies had an easier job. You know, some movies were up against ones that weren't as amazing. So that was the thing. Like, that's what happens when you randomize. But it would have just been too... It would have been too personal otherwise. I did want to encourage people to click certain ones. I didn't want to get involved in any way. Although one way I guess I could say I was involved was on purpose when it was Empire Strikes Back versus Godfather 2, which was like, that was a great setup. I put 2 GIFs of kissing scenes from the movie, and I just made myself laugh. And that was so sad because no one noticed in the comments. Like, no one picked up on it. But I was like, it was Michael kissing Fredo, giving him the kiss of death, and then it was Leia kissing Luke. So it's like 2 sibling kisses. It's so twisted, but I thought it was funny. Oh, man. Yeah, that was definitely the worst part of Empire, that's for sure. Although you can't blame Empire for having that, because they probably didn't make them siblings until the 3rd movie, right? They probably didn't know at that point, so I guess I can't hold that against the film. Really weird, though, Lucas. Really weird to make that change in the 3rd movie. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Blade Runner 2049 was just okay, but it's funny because years ago I actually reviewed that movie and I didn't like it that much. I think I gave it like a 6. And then I saw it again on the plane, which is like the worst way to watch it, and I liked it much more. Probably give it like an 8. Yeah, I thought it was much better on the second watch because I kind of understood what I was getting into. I knew it was gonna be slow. I knew it was not gonna have a lot of action. It was gonna be more character based and world building, and I liked it. I still have some issues with it. I think Jared Leto's character's not particularly intimidating or even interesting, but other than that, I thought Harrison Ford was great. Oh, I also think Ryan Gosling was miscast. I do. He should never do action ever. But that being said, I thought the movie was beautiful and had some really, really interesting ideas. So, yeah, I definitely take back my original review. Anyway, I should start recording this review because I have like an hour. So again, apologies if this sounds a bit scripted. That's because it is. I wrote this review last night, so I'm just going to read through it, but I'm going to still be looking at chat, so if there's anything you want to pick up on, please do. But it just makes the script sound a bit more natural when I'm speaking to actual people. Abigail, what's up? Abigail is, I believe you were like one of the first people to start commenting on like my community tab, on like my posts, which is pretty cool. So, legend right there. Anyway, I'm going to get into this. Sorry ahead of time for this very disturbing picture that I upload here. Yeah, this, I don't know if you guys know this, but that's from Resident Evil 7, which will lead me right into this. This is my script for the 6 horror games that are actually scary. I cannot wait to edit this. It's going to take a while, but I'm hoping to get it out by Sunday. So, here we go. And of course, as I go through this, please let me know in chat what other games you think should make the list. Like, I really want to know what people have, because I did not put anything on the list that I personally have not played. It's just, what can I say? Like, I have integrity. It doesn't make it easy necessarily to have integrity, but I don't want to write about anything that I don't personally know. So these are games that I have played, that I love, that scared the shit out of me. But if there's a game I haven't mentioned and you're like, oh my god, Clay, this game is so scary, like, definitely comment, because I want to know. And there's other games that are not on this list that could make future lists, maybe. If I make another video, we'll see. So plenty of scary horror games out there, that's for sure. Poppy's Playtime Chapter 1 just missed the list, like by this much. So maybe next time. Yeah, RE7 for sure. Well, I'm about to get to that in a second. So, hey everybody. So you know me. I love the horror genre, but something I haven't really mentioned is that despite all the scary movies I've seen, some video games have actually terrified me even more. Which makes sense, right? It's an immersive medium having to, how do I put this? It's an immersive medium having to march your own butt into the room with monsters. Oh, how do I put this? Check a Song of Horror. Ooh, okay. I'll have to add that to. Is it on Steam? Let me know if it's on Steam. So it's immersive. You got to march your own butt into the room, and you have to march your own butt into the room with the monsters, and that takes a level of bravery that movie watching just doesn't have. So today, I'd like to go over 6 horror games that are actually scary. Only games I've played, and only ones I personally found scary. So I could just get AI to rattle off some kind of best hits list and call it a day, but I'm not a hack, and I didn't write Wish, so sorry. Anyway, here we go. Real quick, I'm going to turn this music down just a bit. I was going to skip ahead. I don't like that song. Okay. Ooh, this sounds too familiar. Boom. There. Ooh. Alika, I heard of that game. I heard that one was very scary. Yeah, 3 campaigns, right. Wait, is this the one... Is this like the more kind of, no. Is this a 3D game? Or this is the one where it's first person, right? Kind of older graphics. You said 1999. But I think the one I'm thinking of is even older. But, like, the aliens don't really make, they don't make a sound when they actually move. So you don't know they're attacking you from behind until you hear them scream and your health starts depleting. I don't know if that's the same game. But I've heard of that, and it sounds, like, nerve-wracking. Okay, so... Oh, let me just check this is recording, because I swear to God if it's not. Okay, good. My friend is messaging me. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, first up is Resident Evil 7. It sounds like an obvious pick. Like, I'm trying to satisfy the algorithm any way I can, but... I was genuinely surprised by this game in 2 ways. So, 1, that it was really good, and 2, that at least until the ship section that feels like, you know, exploring a map without the assets loading in, it scared me half to death. Resident Evil 7 is terrifying. Part of me wanted to put the original Resident Evil on this list, specifically for being the first horror game I ever experienced. I was probably, just story time, I was probably 7 years old at a family party, and like any kid, I was bored and wandering around, checking rooms, until I found that kid. You know that kid when you're young, the one who, the kind of odd one who looks like in a decade he will try to sprint past the school's metal detector, that one. So, it's his house, and yeah, that kid. It was his house. And he showed me Resident Evil 1. And those door animations alone scared the shit out of me. So that has a very strong kind of nostalgic, that has a really big nostalgic effect for me. So I almost wanted to put it just for the kind of emotional impact it had on me as a child. Resident Evil 4, I almost wanted to put, because even though it's more action-focused, it did have me sweating for several sequences, like the one in the hedge maze. But, come on, number 7 takes a spot because of how consistently unsafe I felt for several hours of gameplay. A lot of games can't say they can do that. The environment is meticulously crafted into this foul, goopy site of decay, but in a very believable way. It felt like a real house in a real backyard. I was already on edge exploring the grounds of the house, and once inside, I was overwhelmed with the sensation of stepping into something depraved that didn't want me there. I felt like an intruder, and more than anything, I wanted the main character to just turn on his heels and go the other way. Then, of course, the characters are introduced, the chases begin, and from that point on, I was slow walking through every moldy corridor. Because the main enemies heal, RE7 found a way to make the combat frightening even with weapons. Hey, Deanna, how's it going? The first person camera keeps everything uncomfortably intimate. There is great work being done with lighting and the lack of it, like the sequence in the child's room. The anticipation built up in that room is nothing short of masterful, and if it had a jump scare, I would probably end up in the ER. I've always appreciated save points, and I want to know if you guys agree with me on this, but I've always appreciated the save points in Resident Evil games. A solitary typewriter with that soft, twinkly, melancholy kind of music. And for me, I think it's genius that one of them in RE7 is right above a staircase leading into darkness and danger. You're safe in that room. We're talking about RE7, DN, Resident Evil 7. So you're safe in that room, but you're always aware that more horrors are a few steps down. I think that's brilliant. Most people will talk about the more iconic, high-energy moments, like the lady with the wasp diaper, or when the protagonist gives his wife a hand. Fantastic moments, like all of them. But for me, it's the spaces between the, let's call them boss fights, that got to me. That short courtyard between house and trailer is one of the most nail-biting locations in the game for me. Enemy attacks feel random and hard to spot in the dark. I had already been tenderized by Jack and his family, and now I was shaken and on my own. I really felt like I was there. So massive props to not just the visuals, but the sound design and enemy placement. It's just, yeah, exactly. Like you don't want to leave. It's just like, it's like what I said. I never felt safe playing that game. Now I have my issues with the game, as I've mentioned. But everything both in and around those houses had me constantly looking over my shoulder. And the fact that people play this in VR is just sadism. Like, what is wrong with you guys? I love horror, but the hell with that. No, absolutely not. Not a chance. Right, Alika? Yeah, that typewriter room is so great. Anyway, wait, real quick. I want to change these images every time, but they didn't change it for this one. Whoopsies. Whoops. Okay. Hold on. Give me a second. Yeah. All right. Next is the sci-fi horror Soma by Frictional Games. I'd highly recommend this game to those who like story and scares, and most importantly, are okay with a little shoddy in their garrotes. If you've played stealth horror games like Alien Isolation or Amnesia: The Dark Descent, the gameplay will feel familiar. You study the enemy patterns, you avoid confrontation, and you make love to that sprint key, because you're gonna need it if you suck at stealth. What sets Soma apart is the gorgeous and oppressive deep-sea setting and the recurring theme of existential dread. I know it's a lot of words, but stay with me. So, coming across a robot who is so confident he's human, like, what? Come on, man, like, are you blind? Duh, I'm human. While he sits motionless in a pile of broken parts, abandoned and beyond all hope of repair, it's like the perfect midpoint between depressing and disturbing. That I don't think I'll ever forget that scene. Just, yeah. When you aren't solving puzzles and having these story moments, you're also trying to avoid enemies. And these enemies are so scary. The enemies are a mix of robots and humans who have been mutated by AI and the ocean itself. As you can imagine, they look horrifying. Like something out of The Fly, but in the finale of The Fly. They also seem like they're incredible pain. The sequences with them are so scary that thinking about one just makes other ones spring to mind. I mean, oh, okay, Lika. Have fun. Ooh, DN, good shout out for Little Nightmares. Yes. Very, very creepy. I never played the second one. I played the first one, and it is very creepy. All right, Abigail, I recommend the game Indica. It's more bizarre at times, but I think it's worth a playthrough also on Steam. Very cool, thank you. So there are 3 enemies I want to talk about in Soma. This will be really quick. So, 1, the first enemy in the game is called the Construct, and when I found myself in this room filled with all this metal grating, I saw this little turtle-like robot walking around, and I assumed that it was a friendly NPC. He looked lost and clumsy, even injured. So I went over to talk to it, and it immediately started running after me and clomping his big metal feet all over the floor. And that was the biggest reversal of fortune I think I've ever experienced in a game, and I don't know why I thought that he'd be friendly, but the game didn't really seem like a horror game up to that point. So that was scary. Yeah, that definitely got my pulse going. Another example, when you're moving from an office room to an office room, intro to the Matrix style, hiding in a corner while this skinny abomination is skulking around. That was nerve-wracking. And then lastly, the one that really got me was the fog room. This one, I swear, almost gave me a heart attack. So you have to set off this countdown sequence, and like an idiot, I thought I had to stand by the actual countdown sequence and press the button and just wait there. Instead of being a smart person and just moving around and trying to avoid the enemy that's in the room. So I'm just standing there, it's getting closer and closer, and then finally I'm able to press the button, and I bolt as fast as I can towards the stairwell. And Jesus Christ, like... that enemy was on my ass. And the fact that Soma messes with your vision and audio when enemies are near told me that I didn't need to look and see how close he was. I was probably in-game inches away from death. Overall, it's an effective combo. The thoughtful but morbid story, a beautiful but oppressive atmosphere, and gameplay that is scary both at 0 and to 60. It's a wonderful, intelligent game that made my heart... It's a very intelligent game that made my heartbeat do very odd things. Very scary, very good. Big recommend. Part 2 is much better. Oh, as far as Little Nightmares, I heard that actually. A friend of mine said that the second one's really good. All right, change the image real quick. Who knows what this game is? I'll have a sip of coffee. You win, Alika. I don't have a prize for you, though. Sorry. Well, you guys are smart. Hello, Getzenberg. How's it going? So, yes, you guys are right. Next is Outlast. Like Soma, you have no weapons, and you need to maneuver around enemies rather than confront them. The main differences are the setting, being in an asylum for people on fucking Black Friday, apparently, and how the horror is explored. So, Outlast isn't as concerned with themes or suspense. It's more like, I don't know, pure horror, pure undiluted horror. You aren't delving into the meaning of consciousness and unforgiving world, but you're more like, holy shit, get me the hell out of here. That is a very consistent feeling you'll have in this game. Enemies don't skulk, they chase, and they delight in their chasing. It's high intensity and gory, and pretty much from the first jump scare, the game the game does not let you get comfortable. I did a video a while back that I almost want to redo. But yeah, I did a video about games that would make great movies. And to me, Outlast is begging for a found footage movie. Outlast is begging to be a found footage movie. An Outlast found footage horror movie is something that could have and should have been made yesterday. It's begging for it. And best of all, the game provides a good reason for the protagonist to keep filming. He sent to document what's going on at the asylum, and the camera acts as night vision. So, seriously, like, someone make this now. There's lots of scary moments in the game, but for me, the two naked guys who pursue you are so demented. It's a game to them, and you can hear them hype themselves up in the background. And throughout the game, that's when I felt the most like Prey. Outlast is the more visceral horror experience on this list, and if you want a good and continuous scare, I say definitely play it if you haven't. Or, better yet, be a dick and make your friend play it and watch them jump. Great reaction content for this game. Have you seen Silent Hill? I heard it's pretty creepy and one of the better game adaptations. Yes. Gitzberg, running away from the fatty naked dude, the movie. Isn't that just Harvey Weinstein? Anyway. Yes, but I have seen Silent Hill. As far as game adaptations, it's pretty good. It's not perfect. Before I continue with the review, there's an interesting bit of trivia about that that's a little, not depressing, but distressing. So they wrote Silent Hill, and Silent Hill was the script was originally very female-based. So you have the main character, you have her daughter, and then you have the female cop. And basically everyone else in the movie was a monster. So the script was done, they had a director attached and everything, but when they sent it to producers came back and were like, where are the men? Like, there's no men in this movie. And so they had to go back to the script and add in all these scenes of the husband and the cop trying to, like, in the real world, not the Silent Hill world, trying to, like, look through these rooms for the wife and have these really just boring conversations. And all of that could have been cut. And when you watch Silent Hill, it's evident that those scenes were tacked on. I mean, I watched it before I knew this, and I remember thinking, like, these scenes are dumb. Like, why are these scenes in the movie? It's like a lurching sensation when it cuts to those characters, and that's why it was forced into the script. So I think if those scenes didn't exist, it would probably be better. But as it stands, I'd probably give the movie a 6 out of 10. Almost a 7. The best part about it is just how it's presented. They use the same composer as the Silent Hill game. Yes, you can, DN. You absolutely can. You do not need to play the games to watch it. Not a chance. Yeah, I mean, the symbolism from the games is not in the movies. Like, the creature design, it's completely irrelevant, which is a little disappointing. But what's nice is that the creatures look good. Like, not only do they look like the game, they just look good. Both CGI and the makeup and the acting. It's done very well. A lot of locations look just like the game. They look beautiful and creepy. So it's presented extremely well for a horror video game movie. And horror video game movies are, like, notoriously terrible. I mean, a lot of video game movies are, but, like, the horror ones especially are very bad. So I honestly, even now, I'm struggling to think of a better video game movie. I didn't watch the Mario movie. I watched a little bit of it, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it. I saw the original Super Mario movie. That's, like, terrible. It's like unwatchable. Jesus, like, I heard Assassin's Creed was bad. The new Tomb Raider movie apparently was bad. FNAF is supposed to be shit. I'm not gonna watch FNAF. The only people who like FNAF are fans, and even they admitted that it's a bad movie. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a better video game movie, but I think Silent Hill takes it. Did you know that characters in Silent Hill 2 are referenced to the Twin Peaks? James and Laura. I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan. Me too. I only started watching Twin Peaks for the first time like a year ago. I didn't watch it when it was on TV. So, I loved it. I love just the weird vibe of that show. I don't know how to even describe it. It's like a soap opera mixed with a detective thriller. It's noir. It's corny, but also disturbing. It's very metaphysical. There's just so many elements that all combine in that show that there's really nothing like it. So I can totally see the Twin Peaks influence in Silent Hill. 100%. I have not seen Sonic, though. I don't know if I would like it. I didn't grow up with Sonic. It seems like more for kids, which doesn't make it bad. It just, I don't know if I'm the audience. Yeah. I don't know, DN. I like all the reviews I saw of FNAF from just people. They were all like, they all had two consistencies. It was, this is great for fans, and it's also bad. And also they all gave him like 10 out of 10. So I'm like, okay. I don't know. I it's not for me. I didn't play the FNAF games. I'll tell you this. After seeing the trailer, those animatronic monsters look like shit. They don't look scary at all. I don't know if they're CGI. They look bad. They kind of look like the game, but they don't look good. And I don't know. I just heard it was boring. I don't really have much interest in it. I know the FNAF lore goes very deep, too deep, and I don't have time to dig into that. But, you know, there's room for a good horror movie that uses animatronics, and it hasn't been done yet, in my opinion. Like theme park animatronics. They've made a couple movies, and they're not good movies. So someone needs to take that idea and make a good movie out of it. Yakuza. What's the game Yakuza? Oh. It's not scary at all. Yeah, I mean, I'll watch a horror movie that's not scary. Mandy is not scary, and that movie's amazing. But I don't know, I don't think I would enjoy it. The trailer's bad, and it doesn't look scary, and I think it's just for FNAF fans. So unless I start playing the games, I don't think I'm gonna watch it. Oh, the Yakuza movie. I didn't know there was one. I'm gonna have to look this up. Yeah, I know the Yakuza games. I didn't know there was a movie. I really didn't. Wow, Egg, that's funny. I'm gonna look up this. You know what? I've been looking for a movie about the Yakuza that's really good. I know there's a bunch, and I don't mean like the Yakuza games. I mean like the actual Yakuza. So I want to find some like Japanese gangster films about the Yakuza. I know there's a bunch. I think there's one called Wolves, and there's some others. But I'm trying to have like a day to watch a bunch of them because it's a fascinating gang. Anyway, speaking of scary stuff, give me a second. Yeah, buddy. Speaking of. So, to tell you a little story. As a teenager, as a very young teenager with a PS2, my friends and I usually play James Bond Nightfire. Shout out to Nightfire's multiplayer for allowing you to change the health of players and enemies. So it was hilarious. So if your pal was out taking a piss, you could drop his health down to -100 and watch him get one-shotted every 30 seconds. Just classic. Anyway, another game we got for the PS2 was the classic Silent Hill 2. My friend and I played it late at night with a walkthrough, and after an hour or so, we kept trying to give the controller to the other person. That's how creeped out we were. This game has some of the best atmosphere in any game I've played, especially as a film guy. I put a lot of stock into how something on a screen can make me forget that I'm in a chair. I don't know. What is it about this game that is so disturbing? The fact is, I can't point to just one thing. It's everything in combination. The fog, the music that I'm having trouble coming up with words to describe it. It really is its own vibe. The unsettling creature design and how sexually charged those creatures are. The story that's like one long tumble down a rabbit hole. You feel so disoriented and alone most of the time. When my friend and I got to that first apartment building, that's when we started passing the controller back and forth because neither of us had felt that uneasy playing a video game. Like, sure, there's the classic, there's the anticipation of enemies at any moment. That's scary, but the overall experience felt so ungrounded and strange. It was a new shade of weird. Nothing was introduced to us in a way we understood. Characters, enemies, story moments, none of it. And again, we had a walkthrough. So it goes to show not only the power of good presentation, but imagination, trying to stir up new emotions in a player. If you can do that, you have them in the palm of your hand for horror. Silent Hill 2 is a classic game for a reason, even though the voice acting sounds like Amber Heard on half speed. The story is well paced and often powerful. Its use of theming is better than most horror films I've seen, and by infusing its horror with unpredictability and oddness at every level, it felt like walking through a slow nightmare. I don't know, it's so great and so scary. If you have played it, try playing it again. It's that good. Okay, DN, have fun. Alika Takashi Miike, he is the... Oh my god, Takashi Miike is something else. I did not see Ichi the Killer, but I did see Audition, which was a twisted movie. Ichi I have less interest in just because... I mean, I can handle gore and really horrific content, but I don't, like, necessarily seek it out. Like, a movie that's just, like, nothing but just, like, goriness and mutilation for, like, an hour and a half, that doesn't really appeal to me that much. There has to be, like, some purpose behind it. But saying that, I know it has quite a reputation, so I kind of want to check it out. The trailer's very interesting. It's super high energy, and I kind of like the trailer. So, I know. It's on my list, for sure. Alright. Does anyone know this game? I'd be surprised. Like, Outlast might have been kind of obvious, but this one I think is going to be a little tougher to guess. Alika, you are on it. You were on it. Let me check real quick. Make sure it's still recording. Good. Yes. Next is Condemned Criminal Origins. The best way to describe this one is like watching the movie Seven and while playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots. The combat is heavily melee focused, and it's done with remarkable realism. Even without a vibrating controller, you can feel the impact of the hits, the heaviness of the swings, and it makes every encounter, especially the ones before the guns are more plentiful, it makes them just insanely intense. It's a street fight in every way. It's fast and dirty and sloppy and mean. The story at its heart is a detective thriller. You gather evidence from crime scenes and try to locate a serial killer while trying to figure out why all these citizens have gone violently insane. Hey, Vicious, how's it going? There's a bit at the beginning of this game where you're walking through a ramshackle apartment that honestly could have been my old place in Anaheim, California. The tension is high, and the game builds that tension. The game builds that tension patiently. And when you are eventually attacked, it's scary, but only gets you more unsettled for the next one. It's just this constant ramping up of tension to the point where it's almost unbearable. However, the scariest section has to be the mall level. There's a sequence with mannequins that is so disturbing. I wonder if 2000s... Yeah, there's a sequence with mannequins that is so disturbing. I've thought about this. I wonder if 2007's BioShock took inspiration from it. With, what's his name? Oh, God, I'm forgetting that villain's name. Yeah, like Sander Cohen's minions that are encased in plaster. Kind of a similar vibe. So with these mannequins, you spot them around the mall, and it's creepy. But at a certain point, they start following you. You never see them actually move, but every time you turn or jump down, you glance, and there they are, a foot away, staring at you. It's just... Ugh. It's terrifying. And what makes it extra effective is that up to that point, it's a game of grit and reality. So you're not expecting something that could almost be called supernatural. This isn't aggressive or violent of those early stages, but something eerie and surreal. Like the meth trip, like the meth high turned into a bad acid trip. Completely unexpected, and you feel like the game is tossing you up in the air and you don't know what to expect. It's an older game, and definitely old looking, so there's that. It's an older game, and definitely old looking, and I can't vouch for the final boss. But Condemned Criminal Origins serves as a pretty wild combination of brutal action and twisted suspense. I haven't played anything like it, and it's a huge recommend for me. Scared the hell out of me. Scary as hell. This is one to make you sweat. Definitely. All right, last one. I love this picture. This frame is so good. I'm so glad I used it for this. Thank you, Google. All right, who knows this one? I'll wait to see if someone gets it. Okay, so I'm gonna increase this font size so I don't have to squint like an old man. Well, Vicious, if you're still here, I'm gonna hit you up after this. But it might take like 20 minutes because I have to see whether this thing I have to go to, essentially. Yeah, sounds good. Do you know this game, Vicious? Just based on the picture? I love if someone guessed. Oh, hold on. Still recording? Okay, good. I've been kind of moving around a bunch while I'm recording, so that might affect my audio, but yeah. I'll give you a hint. This is a recent game. This came out last year, I think. What? I think it was last year. It's last year or 2 years ago, but I think it was last year. No one? Okay. That's fine. Alright, so last up is the most recent release on this list, and that's Amnesia: The Bunker. This thing is just terrifying. Those Resident Evil, you got it, Lika. I'm going to go ahead and guess that you typed that before I said it. There is some delay. Hold on. Okay, cool. Also, it's really funny I'm using cafe-style music while I'm talking about these horrible things. Anyway. So, those moments from Resident Evil 7 where you feel kind of safe and you don't want to leave, like in the typewriter room, the bunker is like that, except it feels like it's actively punishing you for exploring the map. You have to explore in the game, you're trapped in a World War I bunker and have to find a way out after a tunnel collapse. Except, you need to keep fueling the generator to keep the lights on, or use a portable light that works about as well as Jennifer Lopez trying to act down to earth. This would all be ominous but doable. Except that there's a creature scurrying in the walls. It was genuinely hard. It was genuinely hard to do anything more than explore one tiny area and then run like mad back to the safe zone before the lights went out. Because every shadow, every hole, everything made me so nervous that I honestly can't say even now whether I was even enjoying the game. Now, I understand some people watching this might think it's a hyperbole, might be thinking, pussy, but, that's fine. Like, that's totally cool. We all have things that scare us more than others. But I'll say it, Amnesia the Bunker got me good. There was essentially no middle ground with the fear. I was either nice and warm and happy in my safe zone, or petrified everywhere else. The bunker itself is a great setting. It's isolated and claustrophobic, yet with enough room to explore. It doesn't even matter much what the creature looks like, because the sounds it made, the threats it posed, all of those holes in the walls it forced me to expect the worst. It's always fun when you can trace the roots of horror, whether it's a film or a game. Like, it's fun when you can trace horror. It's fun when you can trace horror, whether it's a film or a game, back to a core, relatable fear. So, for example, Silent Hill 2 is like being lost and wandering around the street at night. Condemned Criminal Origins is like your first day in Los Angeles and realizing what the city actually looks like. Amnesia the Bunker is like waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of rats crawling in the walls next to you. Except in this case, the rats are coming for you. Absolutely terrifying stuff. I don't think I can put it any better than that. A horrifying and nerve-wracking experience that one day I need to finish. Because I will confess I have not finished it yet. It does very strange things to my heart. Oh god, this game. Terrifying as hell. If you've beaten this thing, you've gotten so much respect from me. Anyway, that about does it for some games that scare the crap out of me. What are yours? Would you like this to be a series? Let me know in the comments. Check out my playlist of horror movie recommendations and this cool montage I recently made. About why video games are art. Subscribe, comment. I love all you guys, and thanks for watching. And that is going to do it. That's pretty much it. I'm going to stop recording now. But I've had a few people right now on stream recommend a few games. Obviously, you can't say whether I should do a whole series of this until you see the video, but everything we've been talking about is going to be a video that I'm going to edit today and tomorrow. Hopefully on Sunday. Like I said, I'm probably not going to get much sleep. That's okay, because I never do. So those are my 6 games. Resident Evil 7, Soma, Condemned Criminal Origins, Outlast, Silent Hill 2, and Amnesia the Bunker. Those are my 6. I've heard from some pretty cool ideas from people in chat. Someone said Little Nightmares 2. Someone said... someone had another one. But I don't remember the name now. Shit. Someone made a Weinstein joke. Oh, wait, that was me. Song of Horror. Abigail pointed out about Song of Horror. Isn't that one to point out? So, when this goes live, whether in my community tab, on my Discord, in the comment section of that video, definitely let me know what other really scary games I should do. My friend Vicious recommended one called Fear and Hunger. I think its original title was Latvian Thursday, but it's pretty disturbing. I just need to play it more. It's not a game that holds your hand, that's for sure. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. But thank you guys for chatting with me about movie sequels and about horror games. Alika is saying, have you played Fear? Yes, I have. It's kind of annoying to get running on Steam, but it's like a mix of John Woo movie and a psychological horror. Also, what's the one you're thinking of is AVP 1999. You know what? I'm going to look it up right now. So, first of all, I have played Fear. I did not beat it, but I got pretty far in it. This was years ago. I do remember it being kind of a pain in the ass to get going on Steam. It was pretty cool. Again, similar to Condemned, it's an old-looking game. It visually hasn't really held up, but it was fun, very chaotic. It was interesting playing a SWAT-type shooter with all these kind of psychedelic horror spiritual elements getting thrown in, especially Alma, the character. So that was a very interesting mix, and I quite liked it, but I really should finish it. It's so murky. Like, it's really hard to kind of orient yourself with the graphics like that. I don't know if they ever did like an HD remake of it. Not to say like everything necessarily needs an HD remake, but I feel like Fear kind of does. Let me look. AVP 1999. I think this is the game. I never played it, but I've seen footage of it. No, this is not the game I was thinking of, but this looks fun too. So the game I was thinking of, I think, was a much older one. It was first person. It was very much like move through the rooms, kind of maze, sort of like Doom. You know what I mean? Like the gun's right in front of you. It's that whole kind of setup. So I think it was like a Doom or what do you call it? What was another game that was just like Doom? God, I'm forgetting so many games today. But you know what I'm saying. Like Quake. That was what I was thinking. It might have been 1993. Yeah, on the Jaguar. No, because this isn't first person. At least not from the pictures I'm seeing. I don't know what game it was. Maybe it was on like the Super Nintendo or some shit. I mean, who knows? But I just... Hold on. I found the video. Wait, I'm looking real quick. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Garfield is the #1 movie.
Sorry. Something popped in. It's a stupid ad for Garfield, which I'm not gonna fucking watch. Scrolling through. Okay, it was Alien vs. Predator 1994 on the Atari Jaguar. Very close. Yeah. You got it, Alika. This is the footage I was looking at. I'm like, this would have terrified me if I played it as a kid. But I never played the one from 1999. But it looks cool though, from what I'm seeing, for sure. I should play it. Because again, like, I'm not going to, if I do this kind of video again, I'm not going to put games I haven't played. Like, I have to at least play the game for like a few hours to get like a decent horror experience out of it. Most of these games I've actually finished. I think the only one I didn't finish was Silent Hill 2. No, did I finish? I think I did finish Silent Hill 2. I didn't finish Amnesia the Bunker. It scared me too much. But I finished Condemned and Outlast and RE7. Not horror, but great dark vibes. Darkest Dungeon 1 and 2. Okay. Fear is the same developer as Condemned? No way. Those games are so different. That's interesting. I could see it from a graphic perspective, but wow. I would not have thought that. It has like kind of gritty vibe, but yeah. Huh. Darkest Dungeon. I'm gonna look that up as well. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for swinging by the stream. And like I said, this video should be out on Sunday. If you don't have the link to my Discord, please go to my channel and click the Discord link. It's right there on YouTube. Say hi. You know, it's just a chill spot to chat about movies and games and memes, anything else. I also have a letterbox. Like I said, all those links are up on my YouTube channel. But you guys are great. Hope you guys have an awesome Friday and a fantastic weekend. And I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for stopping by.